joining us with another episode of the Real Planning Podcast. Today we're together with Jamie Santo of Santo Insurance and Financial. Thank you for joining us, Jamie.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jackie.
It's wonderful to have you. And we'd like to talk about homeowner insurance as it relates to the home buying process. So when someone buys a home, they're buying in cash. Of course, it's advisable to obtain homeowner insurance. But when they're financing with a lender, they have to obtain homeowner insurance.
Correct.
Can you talk a little bit about what the standard is for that type of coverage?
So when a homeowner is purchasing their home, the bank's requiring a loan, and to get the proper documentation to meet the requirement of the loan, they need a homeowner's insurance binder. The homeowner's insurance binder in most cases are going to have replacement cost coverage for the structure itself.
Okay.
Now it's important to understand the difference between getting homeowners insurance coverage and getting replacement cost coverage.
I'd love to learn the distinctions, so tell us a little bit about those two different distinctions.
Okay, so in some cases, let's say, for example, the person buying the home isn't purchasing the home with the full loan amount.
Sure. So in other words, it's a $500,000 property. The purchase price is $500,000, but they're only borrowing $400,000.
Correct.
They're putting $100,000 of their own cash into the transaction.
Correct.
So what happens in that?
$100,000 down, they're only doing a loan for $400,000. In that case, the mortgage company or bank may only require coverage to meet their obligation of $400,000.
Okay.
But that's not going to protect the homeowner.
So what do you recommend to the homeowner in that situation?
So what happened in that situation is you have a coverage amount that's equal to the replacement cost of the actual structure. For example, you have a $500,000 purchase. Some of that is land.
Right.
Okay? And that's where some of the confusion gets with the lenders and the mortgage companies. But if we just say the cost to replace that actual structure is $500,000, they need to make sure that the coverage they have on the homeowner's insurance policy is at least $500,000 or more. How that's accomplished is the replacement cost on the homeowner's insurance policy is for the structure itself, not including the land.
So that means if there was a total loss and the house burned down, for example, the insurance company would come in, and what do they do? How do they actually write a check to the homeowner? How does it really work when a claim is pursued?
So let's just digress a little bit and understand how the coverage is developed.
Thank you.
So in order to determine how much coverage should be in place to insure the home, they do a home estimator.
Okay.
For example, some of the software in the industry is Marshall, Swift, Beck. They look at what's the square footage, how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, is it hardwood floors, and they take all the variables to put together and come up with an estimated cost to replace. Once that's done, you have to insure the 100% of insurable value of the home, what it would cost to replace. That's just an estimate, okay, based on that home by itself. If you had a hurricane come through and 50 houses got knocked over, all of a sudden the cost of lumber goes up, the cost of labor goes up, and without the replacement cost endorsement, that $500,000 of coverage may not be enough. So the replacement cost endorsement takes, let's say in this example, $500,000 and may give you an extra 120% or an extra 20% and make the coverage $600,000.
That's really interesting, Jamie. I hadn't really thought about that. So the conditions in which you rebuild can change and are influenced by the market, the availability of goods and services and materials. So that can impact.
That's a significant, Jackie, that's a significant thing that a lot of people overlook. If it was a single fire, single home, it may be easy to do an estimate. If it's a hurricane or multiple fire unit, lumber prices, economic conditions in the area, labor, that may come into play where it could drive up the cost to replace the home. You want to make sure you have that replacement cost endorsement on the policy.
And so that's something that, would your insurance company automatically offer that, or does the consumer have to ask for that?
In most cases, at the agent side, they should really offer that up front. It's a protection and protect. That's really why we're in the business, right? Everything else, billing, all of this is just part of the process. But it's when the claim happens, that's when as an agent, we're there to help the client. So in most cases, an agent should offer that up front to protect the client. Right out of the gate, when they get the policy, have replacement costs, not only on the structure, but also on the contents.
Oh, that's important. So are people adding extra endorsements and coverage for their personal contents, and how do they come up with an estimate for those items?
So let's say, for example, we use the same $500,000 home.
Right.
Most insurance policies are either 50 to 75% of the structure, the 500,000
Okay.
as contents. So let's say you had 70% contents, you have $350,000 worth of content, $500,000 on the structure. Structure burnt, you'd have replacement cost on it, and it actually costs $540,000 to rebuild. The insurance company's going to rebuild the home. And then the contents, if you have replacement cost, very, very important, is going to let you go buy new. They're not going to depreciate out your contents.
Oh, that's a really important factor because furniture, of course, depreciates and isn't
Electronics, all of it. Yep.
Sure. Oh,
Yep.
it's wonderful to know that that can be included in your
Yep.
homeowner
One-
insurance policy.
One package. Yep.
So let's talk about some high-risk items because I know that people love their pets and animals, and we do too. But I think pets are a red flag, especially certain types of breeds of dogs, and I think there might be some other high-risk categories for insurance. Can you
So
talk a little
let's
bit
talk about some obstacles that could come up
Yes.
at closing. Okay?
Thank you.
Or when someone try to acquire homeowners insurance. So dogs.
Any
ty-
kind of dog?
Any type of pet is not going to be an issue.
Okay.
However, there's certain types of dogs,
Certain breeds.
certain breeds. You could have Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, Akitas, certain type of breeds that's going to be a red flag with many, many insurance companies.
Now, what if it's a German Shepherd that's a service animal?
Okay, the risk, whether it's a service animal or not, is still a risk.
It is. The
Right.
insurance company views that dog in the same category.
Well, there's always variables to every situation, right? That's
Okay.
why at the front end, we underwrite the risk with the client and the insurance carrier to find out what's going to be the best solution for protection for the client. But they need to be aware we're seeing many more situations over the last decade with a lot of the people trying to help out with rescue animals, where they're getting pit bulls and certain type of dogs, and it's causing stress acquiring coverage. For an example, in New Hampshire, there may be 50 insurance companies that write homeowners insurance. And through the years, it's been limited down to maybe a half dozen will write them with specific, breed of dogs and those type of things. That's just one risk. Another risk that we come across a lot is trampolines.
Oh my goodness, my children are begging me for a trampoline. Tell me why it's not just a danger in my home, but could be an obstacle to get to the closing table.
Okay, so let's look at the humanity of it, right? We're here just to make sure everybody's safe.
Yes.
We want to make sure everybody's protected. With the trampolines, now you're seeing a lot more of them with netting, but for years
Sure.
you didn't. But there's serious injuries. If you look up, in Google and, trampolines and different things, there's serious injuries that are occurring with big bodily injury lawsuits. And what's
the-
happening, the insurance companies are aware of that. So again, just like the dog breeds that are dangerous, many, many insurance companies will not write coverage on a homeowner's policy for people with trampolines.
So that's an obstacle to closing. So now what happens if it's a trampoline that someone buys after they purchase? Should they be calling their agent to see if they can obtain coverage?
Well, full disclosure is always most important.
Yes.
If there's a situation where a claim occurs and someone wasn't forthcoming in the situation, the insurance company could potentially have an opportunity for denial,
Right.
which is never what we want at any business. We want to make sure if a claim occurs, we can provide the protection that helps our clients. But I just bring this up today because these are concerns that I see as an industry where people put themselves in tough situations without being aware.
Yes.
The dangerous dogs, you have the trampolines, swimming pools with diving boards, slides. Now, this isn't to say that they can't acquire coverage,
Right.
but maybe the coverage is limited or the premium is much more expensive.
So that means the annual insurance costs could
be up.
could increase.
Yep.
So Jamie, as an insurance professional, you're able to shop the market for
Correct.
rates and terms. Can you tell me a little bit about
Yes.
how that works?
So it's, in the industry, it's called being an independent insurance agent.
Okay.
And how that works under that business model is we work with the client to find the best solution for their needs. So instead of being with a single carrier, that this is what you offer, we can go to the marketplace and find dozens and dozens of different carriers to find a solution for your need. So you may have insurance company A based on your dynamics of what you need covered. Your neighbor, same type of house, may have a different insurance company.
It's really nice to know that you're able to shop rates out to the marketplace to get the best coverage at the best price for your clients.
And that's important. For example, we have a software program in the agency that has 15 to 16 different insurance companies. We plug in a client's information and it will go through home and auto through 16 different companies and give us the rates and coverages for each carrier. Then we go to the websites and work with the underwriters to find discounts and then customize the coverage exactly for what the client needs.
Perfect.
It's just it's a great model because it's not about selling, it's about advising and coming up with a solution that fits the needs for the client.
And it's nice that you mentioned auto and all of the other services that you might advise for the client. Can you just talk a little bit about the other offerings that you have at Santo Insurance and Financial?
Sure, I'd love to, Jackie. So Santo Insurance has been around since 1993.
That's amazing, Jamie.
So, just recently we celebrated our 25th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Exciting for myself and our whole team.
Of course.
It's an extended family at the agency, so to have that celebration was great, just to know what we do in the community and helping our clients. But the independent model really allows us to go to the marketplace. And it's not just on homeowners. Many times you can package your homeowners with your auto insurance to get the discount to make the premium lower. Okay. Then what we're seeing in a lot of cases, many people aren't aware of what they call an umbrella liability policy, which is so important in today's day and age, that it takes the homeowner policy, the auto policy, combine them for discounts, and then you can take an umbrella liability to add additional liability protection in the event of a serious lawsuit.
That sounds like it's something that's very important and an extra benefit that everyone could consider.
It's something that should be brought up in almost every single situation. That's on the personal line. So on the personal line, Santo Insurance does auto, home, umbrella liability policies, snowmobile, boats, all your recreational vehicles, rental units, all of that. That's a personal line division that we have certain group of people, that's what they do every day. We also have a commercial lines division, which is your workers' comp, your bonding, your professional liabilities, your business owners, construction risk, apartment building, condo associations. That's an entire division within Santo Insurance that we work with dozens and dozens of different insurance companies to find a solution for business owners. And then we also have the financial service and health insurance division to bring, resources for retirement planning, college education planning, health insurance, and what's so important nowadays, Jackie, and we've talked about it briefly in the past, is the importance of life insurance and overall planning needs. I've had a couple really close friends the last couple of years pass away, and it's just important to really take the time as a family or a business and sit down and understand what the impact would be if you lost a loved one. Not only from an emotional standpoint, but the financial burden it would place on the other business partners or in the family itself to make sure your kids go to college or even stay in your home. So that's going to be something I'm really going to be working on over the next 6 months to make sure everybody's aware of that important coverage.
So Jamie, when a consumer meets with one of your agents, what are some of the important things for them to keep in mind as they plan for their insurance?
Jackie, that's a great question. What we find many times is people come in and the most important thing they want to address is the price of the insurance. And although it is extremely, extremely important, we must understand the reason why we have insurance in the first place. And that's for the protection. that if something truly happens, is the coverage going to be there to protect them when they need it the most? As an independent agent, we can shop dozens of carriers to find a very competitive rate, so the premiums are very competitive, but at our agency, we want to make sure that coverage is first and foremost what the client needs.
Thank you, Jamie. That's really important. Of course, in my practice, the consumer is always cost sensitive as well, but we do take to heart that we want to perform the highest level service.
Correct.
Performed by a team of well-trained, educated, and experienced professionals. So it is important to evaluate what you're paying for versus the benefit that you're receiving.
That's absolutely most important because, like I said, through 25 years, we've had claims occur, and nothing more special than in the time of need as an agent to be able to go out there and make sure they're protected.
Well, it's wonderful that you offer all of these services, and this is why we wanted to invite you on the Real Planning podcast, because it's not just about planning for your home purchase, it's also about planning for your entire life and your estate planning, your succession planning, and the care of your loved ones.
Correct.
So thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure
Sure.
having you,
Absolute
Jamie.
pleasure.
Thank you.